Keep Right with Ralph K. Ginorio. One thing to rule us all. As before 1860, we in the United States are sundering. Our intensifying disagreements threaten to unmake us as one people. This is because unprecedented numbers of Americans have embraced the pursuit of an earthly paradise over the preservation of personal freedom. Traditional America's diverse enemies share one objective. They wish to usher in a new world order that rejects the values of Judeo-Christian Western civilization. Our ideals of human rights, individual autonomy, and the inherent worth of every single human being are the biggest obstacles to their efforts to construct utopia. If we each are free to determine our own values, priorities, and choices, then no perfected world system can ever be built. The very idea of an ideologically purified society with new and improved human inhabitants requires that all people adapt themselves to the needs of the collective. If an idealized society is to be created, the current sorry state of human nature would have to be improved upon. Such improvement would not be achieved by any inward epiphany, as it would have been in Judaism, Christianity, or the liberalism of John Locke and of our founding fathers. Rather, this utopian transcendence would be pursued through the outward shaming of dissent and the open coercion of those who resisted. Advocates of this new and improved global system believe that one singular cultural orthodoxy must be made universal. This ideology would replace the chaos of diverse, naturally evolved cultures which have developed from England to Japan all over the world for the past 5 millennia. Every culture is rooted in shared core convictions that are deeply fundamental. No sane and well-adjusted person in our traditional society would, for example, publicly advocate cannibalism, incest, or pederasty. These are crimes and are rightly viewed as taboo, as obscenities. It is this sort of bedrock conviction that the utopians wish to erase and replace. For their perfected society to be born, a rewritten and reprogrammed set of fundamental values would have to be instilled everywhere, in every one. A new world order would demand a newly redefined human being to inhabit it. Each unique individual would have to become interchangeably homogenized. Enforcement would require the creation of an all-encompassing political and economic power, an ubiquitous totalitarian legalism. This new unitary authority would fuse what had once been the discrete institutions of government and business. Under communism and National Socialism, all limits to such power and to linking such powers were deconstructed. At present in our society, such efforts to amass unchecked control are called ESG investing, environmental social governance. However, government is merely the instrumentality that manages the people. Under a truly utopian system, government would exist solely to enforce the will of the party in thought, word, and deed. It is the party which would imagine the new world order and then design it in detail to be regulated by it moment by moment. Much like a dark caricature of the Western Christian Church in medieval Christendom, today's party exists to explain everything. Party commissars, like priests of old, express how each sacrificial exertion is an indispensable part of rebuilding oneself into a purified person, worthy of living in a perfected world. Under communism and National Socialism, ideology was assiduously employed to justify totalitarian policies. In our society today, this ideology can be called DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion. The environmental section within the aforementioned ESG is also utilized as a rationale to exert total control over the individual. However, even the party must exist in utter thrall to its own master, a charismatic leader or an oligarchy. This individual or collection of personages comprises the supreme executive power. Such a leader or leading group reserves unto itself the exclusive privilege of making dynamic choices. Only he or they would be considered capable of guiding the rest of us to their perfected world. Only he or they could employ creativity and imagination. Under totalitarianism, it was Lenin, Mussolini, Stalin, Hitler, Mao Zedong, Kim Il-sung, Fidel Castro, and Pol Pot who were the great navigators to paradise. They assumed the mantle of demigods. The dictators and oligarchs who succeeded them and complemented these founders were less colorful than their beloved leaders. They were, however, just as tyrannical. In today's declining West, beleaguered West, George Soros and Klaus Schwab have emerged as James Bond-esque villains, the faces in charge of the movement to remake planetary humanity. Such figureheads and the gray eminences that stand behind them populate would-be ruling councils from Davos's World Economic Forum to the BlackRock Investment Group. These wannabe messiahs crave to play God over the rest of us, instead of remaining recognizably Jewish, Christian, American, or Western. We would each have to transition into their ideal of secular and postmodern, deconstructed and rebuilt global citizens. Our personality and perspective, our very individuality, would have to be sloughed off. Any recognizable remnant of who we now are or once had been would have to be expunged for their future to be born. Our past and present would have to be unmade and become unremembered. As these true believers are constitutionally incapable of live and let live toleration, of traditional American political moderation, divisions deepen. To paraphrase J.R.R. Tolkien's Lord of the Rings, their utopian visions and totalitarian methods are intended to become the one thing that rules us all, and in the darkness binds us.